I watched my friend get shot in the neck. Yeah, that's what happened. I just want to say that he was publicly executed again before the world. The question is why, right?
It started with one sound, not a chant, not applause, just a single crack that silenced a crowd of thousands. And within seconds, one of the most talked about movements in America turned into a mystery that no one could explain. Because the moment activist Charlie Kirk fell to the ground at Utah State University, nothing about that day ever made sense again. Some say it was random, others whisper it was planned. But what happened next, the chaos, the rumors, and the war that erupted between two women who once stood side by side would change everything. Before we get into it, I want to know what you think. Was Charlie's downfall just a tragic accident, or was someone pulling strings behind the scenes? Drop your theory in the comments, and if you're ready to go deep into a story that most people still can't make sense of, hit share so others can join the debate. Because this one, it's not what you think. The footage still circulates online, grainy, chaotic, and overanalyzed to death. Charlie Kirk, 35, walks onto the stage at Utah State, waving to a crowd of students and cameras. He was at the top of his game, a young firebrand who could fill stadiums faster than most politicians. Then, mid-sentence, it happens. A sharp crack cuts through the air, gasps, screams, confusion, and then silence. In those few seconds, every phone in that arena started recording what would become the most dissected moment of the decade. But while the headlines focused on who pulled the trigger, what came after would reveal a darker, more personal story, one that had nothing to do with politics and everything to do with power. When Erica Kirk first appeared on camera days after the shooting, the world expected tears, chaos, maybe even rage. Instead, she was calm, composed, almost unnervingly still. Sitting across from a national reporter, she folded her hands, looked into the lens and said, "Charlie believed in truth, and I'll make sure that never dies with him." The clip went viral, but not for the reason she hoped. Comments flooded in. Too calm. She doesn't look sad enough. She's hiding something. It didn't matter that grief looks different for everyone. The internet had already chosen its villain, and while Erica tried to protect what little privacy she had left, someone else was preparing to make her the centerpiece of a very public storm. If Erica was calm, Candace Owens was the exact opposite. Candace had built her brand alongside Charlie, a fierce, unfiltered speaker who could turn outrage into movement. They were once inseparable on stage and online, until the fallout, until Charlie cut ties without explanation. Now with Charlie gone, Candace came back with a vengeance. On her podcast, watched by millions, she said, "Something's off about this story. I knew Charlie better than anyone, and the people around him weren't all who they seemed." She never mentioned Erica by name, but she didn't have to. Within hours, Erica Kirk's interviews were being clipped, analyzed, and spun into speculation content. Candace's fan base turned into investigators, digging through old photos, charity documents, and live streams looking for clues. What started as grief turned into entertainment, and in that moment, Candace realized outrage wasn't just emotional, it was currency. Charlie Kirk's followers had always seen him as the voice of their frustration, but with him gone, the movement fractured overnight. Half rallied behind Erica, the widow who promised to keep his legacy alive. Half sided with Candace, who claimed Charlie had tried to expose something bigger before his death. What was once unity turned into warfare. Social media lit up with hashtags. YouTubers and podcasters took sides. Even politicians chimed in, twisting Charlie's name into whatever message served them best. But behind the chaos, a quieter tension was building, one that had nothing to do with ideology and everything to do with personal betrayal. Because while the world argued about Charlie's politics, few noticed what had been happening in his inner circle long before the rally. Months before the shooting, Charlie's closest friends noticed something strange. He'd stopped trusting people, stopped sharing plans, started talking about pressure, about people trying to control his message. Some believe he was exaggerating, burnt out from constant media attention. Others think he was hinting at something real, a quiet power struggle between donors, organizations, and the man who refused to play by the rules. Rumors spread about a mysterious figure, a billionaire who had bankrolled Charlie's rise, then cut contact weeks before his final rally. The name doesn't matter. What matters is what that rumor represented, the belief that Charlie was never fully in control of his own message. But when people want answers and can't find them, they'll start creating their own. And that's exactly what happened next. By summer, it was no longer about Charlie. It was about them. Erica, stoic and silent, refused interviews and focused on her late husband's foundation. Candace, furious and relentless, launched a series of expose-style videos claiming she was revealing what really happened behind closed doors. Her followers treated every upload like gospel. Erica's supporters fought back, labeling Candace a grifter chasing clicks. The internet picked its heroes and villains, and the line between truth and performance disappeared completely. For Erica, it wasn't just reputation, it was survival. She started getting messages, death threats, even people showing up at her home, and through it all, she never said a word back. That silence became its own form of power and mystery. Because in an age where everyone's shouting, the person who says nothing often becomes the loudest. By now, it wasn't just two women fighting. It was an ecosystem feeding off chaos. Every influencer with a mic had an opinion. Every clip, live stream, and screenshot became evidence. The truth didn't matter anymore. Only the clicks did. Even months later, Charlie Kirk was trending weekly. Podcasts speculated, TikToks dramatized, and conspiracy channels made charts, trying to connect the dots. Each side built their own narrative, polished, passionate, and profitable. When in the middle of it all, Charlie's original message, the reason he started speaking out in the first place, was buried under noise. Trabatan, inside the Kirk family, tension reached a breaking point. Some relatives sided with Erica, insisting she was being unfairly targeted. Others privately questioned her silence, saying Charlie had seemed afraid in his final weeks. Rumors about hidden letters and deleted files spread online, none ever verified. But that didn't matter. Speculation had become the truth people wanted to believe, and the saddest part, Erica couldn't defend herself without becoming part of the circus. So she stayed quiet, watching her late husband's name turn into a weapon used by people who'd never even met him. By the first anniversary of Charlie's death, the movement was unrecognizable. Conferences turned into shouting matches. Donors pulled funding. Candace's following, once unstoppable, began to splinter as people grew tired of endless revelations that never proved anything. And Erica, still silent, posted a single message online. Charlie's truth doesn't belong to any of us. It belongs to time. No interviews, no explanations, just that. Some called it profound. Others said it was proof she was deflecting. But for the first time in months, the outrage machine slowed down. People started realizing that maybe, just maybe, no one actually knew what had really happened that day. Even now, no one agrees on what went wrong at that rally. Police reports say one thing, eyewitnesses say another. Online experts claim to have proof that no one's ever seen. But the truth, it's messier than any of that. It's about ambition, betrayal, and how fast we turn grief into spectacle. Because in the digital age, pain is content, and silence, that's just another form of mystery. So here's my question to you, and think carefully before you answer. Was Charlie Kirk's death the end of something, or just the beginning of a story that's still being rewritten online? Tell me what you believe in the comments below. And if you think people need to see how easily truth gets lost in the noise, share this video. Because sometimes the loudest lies are the ones we tell ourselves.